we all know that it's a one-time fee. They're getting paid. They don't genuinely believe or even take this product, right? They were just shipped it to their house and they were like opened it and like, oh, I have to create a post about this. So I don't believe that it's genuine. There's not a lot of authenticity into it.
Hey there, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. My name is Sam Hind, and today in this episode, we're going to be talking all about the influencer. This is such an intimidating word and one that I think has been completely misunderstood, and also one of the things that we're asked to train on the most often. How do we teach people to become influencers on social media? Well, today for this episode, I'm bringing in an extraordinary individual, Dana Fortune, who's the Vice President of Digital Marketing for 4Life. Dana's going to share her experience of what a true influencer really is and how absolutely anybody in their direct selling business, no matter what your technical skill, experience, or ability is, can become a natural influencer. In fact, we're going to smash this word out of the park and totally change your perception of what an influencer really is and how you can become one. And I hope that by the end of this episode, you are feeling motivated and excited to take on social media in a whole new capacity. So, with no further ado, grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee. Of course, make sure you've got pen and paper ready because Dana shares a wealth of knowledge with you in this episode. Tune on in and enjoy. Hello there, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I am so excited to be joined today by Dana Fortune, the Vice President of Digital Marketing for 4Life. Welcome on in, Dana. It's great to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sam. I'm so excited.
Such a pleasure. And I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about today because I feel like this has been a really hot topic. And I'm actually looking forward to kind of smashing a few theories out of the water here today, a few concepts and thought processes that maybe we can realign and readjust for some of our listeners. But before we get into the big topic and the talking about influencers today, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about you and your experience in your career with 4Life. You know, even beyond that, who is Dana Fortune for those of our listeners who haven't had the pleasure of meeting you before?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Thanks so much. Like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm originally from New Jersey, and then I went to college in Florida, and then I moved to Utah about 8 years ago. And as most of you know, Utah is kind of like the capital of direct selling. And so my first job out of college was with a competitor of 4Life called LifeVantage, and I worked there for about 2 years in their marketing department. And when I was there for 2 years, I learned, it was such a huge learning experience. I learned so much in terms of social media, digital, email marketing, SEO. And then I've been with 4Life for about 4 years now. And I've been lucky enough to start on the social media team. And then I went from social media to the digital team. And then I moved to the position I'm in now. And so I currently have a team there's 10 of us. And
Wow.
we really own everything digital at 4Life, and it's so much fun.
I love that. And so,
Yeah.
obviously being in the digital space, maybe you could, for some of our listeners, because we were talking about, the generations of typical direct sellers and their experience when it comes to digital and technology, etc. Can you just quickly explain the difference between social media versus digital? So how does that roll a little different? What are you doing now that you weren't doing in your social media position?
Yeah, for sure. So when I say digital, that's more that is an umbrella that social will fall under.
Mm.
So social kind of lives on its own little island, if you will, but digital is really the website, our apps, our SEO, our email marketing, web copy, blogs. And so all that fun stuff, our learning management system, which I'm sure one of your companies have that as well. And then social media has its own team that encompasses our influencer marketing strategist, our content creator, our social media manager. And so, yeah, they're their own little powerhouse right there.
Yeah, awesome. And now, as we talk about digital and social media, Over the last few years, we have seen such a massive shift and massive change. But one of the things that I feel like I am hearing again and again and again, and particularly I will say from training departments and head offices, is, the power right now is in the influencer. And,
Mhm.
in 2023, it's all about influencers. And, please don't switch off. If you're listening to this right now and you're going, oh my gosh, there's that word again, I'm sick of hearing it, just hang in there because we want to break this down a little bit. But just really quickly, Dana, what is your opinion of the power of the influencer in 2023?
Yeah, and my answer might actually surprise you because I feel like it's reverting almost, where people
Mhm.
are seeing influencers come up on their feed and they see the word sponsored or they see the
Mhm.
tag above it saying paid advertisement or hashtag ad. And they're just scrolling because they know, we all know that it's a one time fee. They're getting paid. They don't genuinely believe or even take this product, right? They were
Mhm.
just shipped it to their house and they were like opened in, like, oh, I have to create a post about this. So I don't believe that it's genuine. There's not a lot of authenticity into it. And these new apps that you see, like Be Real, what we kind of learn from them is that Gen Z or the younger generations are really gravitating more towards authenticity
Mm.
and being authentic on these apps and no filters and not really curating the perfect content so much, but almost focusing more on who you are as a person and being really authentic. And so I believe this is, my personal opinion, that the influencer is kind of on its way out. And it's
Mhm.
an extremely intimidating word
Yeah.
that I don't want people to kind of get hung up on and like, oh, I have to have thousands, millions of followers to be successful. That's not really true in direct sales. And yeah, we can dive into that, of course, as well.
I'm glad you brought up the word intimidating because this was actually, this has been on my mind. And that word was in my next question, which is, you know, the word influencer itself is an intimidating word. And even, you know, um, I even think genuine influencers find it an intimidating word because it's about the comparison of, them versus me, and am I popular enough? Am I not popular enough? And how do I get to be considered an influencer? And interestingly enough, we're seeing a lot of influencers as well who have put all of their eggs in one basket, losing an entire source of income when something goes wrong, like that platform changes its policies, or they lose their profile or whatever that might be. So we can get to that, but let's just talk for a moment about what a real influencer really is, because I think the concept of influencer is a little misunderstood. Um, so do you want to just sort of, I guess, speak into what you feel the definition of a true influencer is? I actually think we need to make up a new name for this, by the way.
Totally. Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think an influencer is an individual who is a subject matter expert on whatever their niche is. So, let's take
Mhm.
it, for example, let's say I'm into fitness, right? And Sam is wanting to get into the fitness space, and I know a lot about that topic. I know how to, have a healthy, fit lifestyle. And so, Sam comes to my page and she sees that I emulate that niche. I am that niche. I do that on a day to day basis. And I'm considered a subject matter expert, or I'm genuinely interested in fitness. And so I would be able to utilize my influence to say, okay, Sam, here's, the meal prepping that I do. Here's my
Mhm.
fitness routine that I do in the gym. Here's the lifestyle choices that I choose to make, and you can learn and be influenced through my lifestyle that you're seeing on my page, which is hopefully not so much sponsored posts, but more just genuine my lifestyle and how I truly am a fitness individual, and how that is a passion of mine.
Yeah, that's a really good way of explaining it. And I want to come back to the everyone for a minute, because I think there's this concept in our heads that an influencer is like 1% of the people out there. There's only, a very small amount of people that can successfully be an influencer. And to a degree, whilst there might only be a very small portion of the population who is going to be, the Kim Kardashian that comes out
Yeah.
and, dances in front of the mirror in her underwear and gets, a million people buying whatever brand of underwear that was, that's not really what we're talking about here. How can anybody in direct selling and more to the point, how should everyone in direct selling be utilizing influence to grow their business? And how do we break this down and kind of make it more understandable for people on a day-to-day level? Because I think we're seeing influence as being this big thing where I just get, hundreds of thousands or millions of views or likes. That's influence. What else is
Right.
influence? Because I don't that's not how I see it. I know
Yeah,
it's not how you
totally.
see it either.
Exactly. That's not how I see it either. I believe that, the influence that you have amongst the followers that you have is powerful enough, right?
Mm,
We always talk about, Sam, how this is a relationship business at the end of the day. And if you have 500 authentic followers as opposed to 500,000 followers who might be bots or individuals that you've
mhm.
bought or purchased those accounts, it's more authentic to market towards them. And so, I kind of go off of this Alex Earl phenomenon currently on TikTok. Are you familiar with her, Sam? How
No.
she's really big on TikTok right now,
Yes.
and she's been growing. Just the numbers that she's been gaining in terms of followers is something that TikTok has never seen. It's almost like Addison Ray era kind of a thing.
Mhm,
And she's just what she does every day is she does the same exact thing. She says, "Hey, get ready for me with me. I'm going to work. Get ready with me. I'm going to class." And she does the same makeup routine every single day. And she just documents it and walks you through her day and how she's going to go to class today and how she has a hard math test or whatever it may be. And people are living for it. They just
mhm,
think it's the most amazing thing. But if you watch one of her videos, they're all the same. They're all exactly the same. And so why I bring her up is
mhm,
that, she grew overnight. And of course, she's this beautiful individual, but what she's doing, it isn't really, rocket science, right? She's not doing anything that's like,
yeah,
wow, she's, so talented or so, just I want to follow her. It's
mm,
just a normal college student getting ready.
yep,
And so I think what I always tell our affiliates to do at For Life is if you have something that you're truly passionate about, and I'll just keep with the fitness theme, and if you showcase that through your lifestyle on your social media platforms of choice, people will start to identify you as, oh, you know what, I'm going to ask Dana what Pilates class she just
mhm,
took, or I
mm,
just saw that she took a Pilates class. And then if you get a step further, and if you start incorporating the products that you take or you use on a daily
mm,
basis as well, it seems more authentic. And it seems more like, okay, you know what? She actually does use that product. She's not being paid to use that product.
mhm,
Clearly, she actually has a relationship and a passion for it. And that's, I believe, where the conversions and the conversations and
mhm,
the genuine curiosity is going to form is through that type of marketing on social media.
yeah. I think,
Mhm.
the key in what I'm hearing from what you're saying as well, and I completely agree with this, is it's the journey. And,
Mhm.
the really funny thing is we are talking about social media, yes, and that's where the word influence has become such a big thing. But the thing that we've got to remember is that we influence using this method in our everyday lives as well, and we've done it since we were babies, since we were born. You are passionate about something, you believe in something, or you love something, and simply having a conversation with someone about your experience. Just think about the last time you read a great book and you were telling somebody about how great this book was. That's influencing, because what you're
Right.
doing is you're sharing your experience, what you did, what you loved. Now, that person may or may not choose to read that book, but I guarantee you that the next time that they think about what book am I going to read next, it'll come into their mind that, hey, Sam was telling me about this book she really liked, and they'll then make a decision on it, based on whether or not it's right for them. But the point being is that's influence. You've influenced them to think about that thing or that product, or when you're a kid and you've got a favorite recipe or a favorite I was going to say a biscuit. My kids have been at home baking choc chip biscuits today, so I've got but you guys call them cookies, so let's go with the word cookie. You're cute and you're telling everyone. Levi, my son, has been walking around telling everyone about how amazing choc chip cookies are. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, it's just a choc chip cookie. But suddenly everyone else in the family just wants choc chip cookies. And the other kids are saying, can we make choc chip cookies? Because Levo's telling us how amazing they are. That's
Yes.
influence. That's what we're doing. We're simply sharing our experience as a journey. And, it's really funny. I was talking to someone yesterday, Dana, who I had a look at her social media profile, her
Mhm.
Facebook profile, and I noticed that everything was, buy this, here's this product, join the business, da da da. And then I flicked to somebody else who was sharing their journey, but never once mentioned the products, never once mentioned the company. She was actually somebody who'd been on a weight loss journey. And interestingly enough, she was sharing her journey, but she was leaving a lot she was creating huge curiosity and intrigue because everyone's watching her losing all this weight. And of course, everyone's asking,
Yes.
how are you doing that?
How you do it.
And
Yes.
she's sharing her experience. And she was suggesting that she was taking certain things to do it, but she wasn't at any point saying, here's my product, you guys need
Mhm.
this too. And of course, she's actually built this particular person who's been sharing this journey over
Yeah.
the last 6 months has built a business that is now earning over $20,000 a month,
Nice.
through not mentioning their products, but simply sharing her experience because she's influencing others to want to do what she's doing and be a part of what she's doing. And it feels so
Totally.
much more genuine. So, sorry, that was a very long way of saying, I think I feel like there's this concept that influence is only done on social media, and it just isn't.
Mhm.
It's a part of who we are and
No.
what we do.
Oh, 100%. And if your company's product is truly a product that you believe in and you take on a daily basis, which I hope it is,
Yeah.
you just have to document or showcase, even on your stories on Instagram and Facebook, how you're taking that product every single day. I have a cousin and she is a mom, a new mom, and she always, every single morning, without fail, she shows a story of her mixing her mommy juice into her favorite mug every single morning without fail. And it powers her through her day.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, okay, at first, okay, she's doing it again. Okay, wait, she made it through 3 o'clock without a crash. Okay, I'm kind of interested here. Okay, it tastes really good. Oh, there's a new flavor. I'm trying a new flavor today. And then finally I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna reach out to her, Alex. Tell me
Mhm.
about this product. Because I see you are clearly passionate about it. You take it every day,
Yeah.
and you can offer me a discount that no one else can. I think that right there is me reaching out to you, which is what we all want, because I'm genuinely curious. And the fact that we have that relationship already, right? She's my cousin. I follow her
Yeah.
and I know that she's a new mom. We have this rapport and that she can offer me this discount that no one else can.
Mm.
We all can do the same thing. You just have to identify which product you want to showcase in your daily life. And
Yeah.
I always say, I'm jealous of the companies that have skincare and makeup and hair care because my job is to make these supplements look sexy. And that's not necessarily, you guys have the easier job, I always say,
Yeah.
because it's not easy to be like, okay, how are we going to showcase how we're taking these
Yeah.
supplements? But if I just
Yeah.
show, okay, good night, everyone. I'm going to do my nighttime skincare
I'm gonna take my
routine.
makeup off now and you can see it
Yeah,
all.
I'm going to do my nighttime routine with my skincare, or
Yeah.
I'm going to put my makeup on just like the Alex Earl, my hair looks shinier. It grew 3 inches in a few months. Then I think that's much easier to showcase. And
Yeah.
so if you have a product that you believe in, I highly encourage you to just start talking about how you use it on a daily basis, and people will start identifying you with, oh, okay, wait, Dana is using this hair care and her hair does look a little different. And so people, I promise you, your followers are watching.
Yeah.
You're if you it doesn't matter how many followers you have, they're watching what you do, what you post, and they take a mental note of it. So don't get discouraged if people aren't reaching out, if they're not liking, if they're not reacting to it, if they're not commenting, messaging you, because they are paying attention.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll notice that after a while.
That is such a big point. I'm so glad that you brought that up, and I was actually gonna grab that from you a second ago because you said that you were talking about the consistency. But one of the things we
Mhm.
talk about in our trainings when we're doing, whenever we speak to a group of people, is I'll encourage people with this one core thing: just because they're not interacting does not mean that they're not watching. And you've got to
Yeah.
remember, think about, how do you use social media? When you're scrolling through your feed at night, are you liking or commenting on every single thing
Mhm.
that you pause on, that you look at, that you pay attention to? And if you don't like it or comment on it, does that mean that you didn't remember it, that it didn't have an impact or impression on you? No. And so your audience are also behaving in the same way. They're scrolling through, and every time someone sees your post, even if they didn't stop on that one, they saw it. They saw it. And so
Exactly.
you've got to keep in mind, like this person I was talking about, the one that, by the way, the very first one I mentioned, needless to say, she was getting no interaction whatsoever on
Mhm.
her feed. This constant, here's the product, here's the business, here's everything you need to know about it. The other person, who was just simply sharing her journey and telling her story, but not necessarily talking a thing about the products. It was really interesting because she was getting a lot of interaction, just people that were cheering her on and excited for her. But one day she suddenly put a post up, and it was sort of similar to what you were talking about before, Dana, where she was taking a collagen supplement, and it only came up on this one day. She never told anyone what it was, and suddenly she puts up a post of her. With the collagen on the spoon, about to take it, and she had like a really simple one that went with it, and it was kicking off my day as usual, so excited for what this day is going to bring, and that was it. And off
Yeah.
the back of that one post, you should have seen, she would have had hundreds of comments by that point saying, what is that? Can you tell me
Yeah.
more? What are you taking? I want to know how you're
Yep.
losing all this weight. And so, of course, suddenly everyone wants to know a little bit more. But the thing about it is it's about the consistency. If
Mhm.
you show up once, and I think this is where the word influencer has become really misunderstood, because there's this concept you were talking about at the beginning, Dana, where people do get paid to do one post.
Yes.
And yes, that happens. They've got, big followings, and somebody who has got a big following can simply, in this instance, these TikTok influencers, etc., that are getting people showing up and watching them every day because they've shared that journey. And I want to be really clear about that. It's because they've been sharing their journey and people are now influenced by what they
Yes.
do, that they can show up with one product and suddenly that product sells out just like that, because everyone wants what that person's doing. But that
Right.
comes first with consistency, and that person has been consistently showing up authentically prior to that point. So I really feel like the point here being, and I want to get to the technical aspect for a sec, Dana, because
Yeah.
again, I think there's a lot of people that assume in order to be good at influencing on social media, I therefore have to be tech savvy.
Mhm.
And can we just smash that one out right now? Like,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, yes, you definitely don't have to be tech savvy. It's these platforms, Meta, especially, Facebook, Instagram, make it so easy
Mm,
to create a reel or make a post or do a story and add interactive polls in your stories and questions and stickers and gifs. And because they want you to use this technology, so they're not going to make it hard.
mhm,
And now more than ever, it's easier to do so. And kind of backtracking here, when you said, you know, individuals that post and we don't want them to get discouraged if no one interacts with it. There will come a point if when they'll get a little bit discouraged. But let me give a tip that I like to give out is ask for opinions or ask
mhm,
questions,
mhm,
just like a genuine question that will allow people to give their own advice or give their
mhm,
opinion, because who doesn't love giving their own advice, like it doesn't have to even be about products. It can be like, where's the best place to go in Hawaii, on
yeah.
Maui, and they'll give you this advice and they'll be like, oh, what are you looking for, and that'll spark a conversation.
Everyone wants to
And
be
so
the expert, right?
yeah, everyone's the expert. And so oftentimes, if you feel like you're in this lull of people not responding to you, I always say ask a question,
Yeah.
or, make it easy for them to reach out to you and start that conversation, because there will be times where it's discouraging when you're posting all this stuff and you're listening to the advice that Sam gives you and it's not being fruitful, it's not working. So yeah, definitely ask, talk to people, talk to your followers. I always say that I love Kim Kardashian. Like, I'm not afraid to admit it. I love her. I think she's amazing. Do I know her? No. But do I know everything about her life? Yes, because she broadcasts it on her Instagram, on
Yeah.
her social media platform. So I feel like I know her. The same thing applies to your followers, especially if you don't have many followers. They're following you for a reason. And
Yeah.
if you're posting about what you're doing and what you're eating and where you're going and what your dog's name is, they're going to know you and feel like they know who you are
Yeah.
and feel like, oh, you know what? Actually do know Dana. She has a dog named Snicker and she has a son and she likes fitness and she likes this and that. But we don't necessarily have to be talking every single day. It's the
Mhm.
way that you're marketing it about yourself that people will then get to know you.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
good. And what about those people that are thinking, "Oh, well, I want to grow my business, but I don't really want to broadcast my personal life and all the ins and outs of what I do," which is a very real question. We have this come up a lot. I don't want to share my kids and I don't want to share my family life. What would you say to that?
Yeah, totally. And you don't have to. You don't have to. And oftentimes, it's not going to be the stuff that converts anyway.
Yeah.
Facebook is a great platform for that, especially if you want to just talk. If you want posts to go to specific people, Facebook actually makes it really easy for you to pick the people that you maybe want to
Mm,
broadcast a specific lifestyle with. So if
yeah.
you want to showcase your kids to them, it allows you to do that. So you can be, you can be private if you would like to. We often like to tell individuals that their account should be public, but I'm being hypocritical when I say that because my account is private,
Yeah. Mine
and
too.
you just have to, when you network individuals and you form that relationship with them in person, you just say, hey, follow me, follow along with my lifestyle, and then maybe you can showcase it there, and then those relationships are more authentic anyway.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to showcase your lifestyle, you don't have to, and don't feel pressured to do it either, because I'm a private individual as well.
Yeah.
I would definitely look into targeting posts on Facebook or
Yeah.
just being a private account and picking and choosing who your followers are.
Yeah. I think
Mhm.
what you said before as well, Dana, is really important. That is having your niche and your expert, your genius zone, your area that is your expertise. And I get a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, but I'm not an expert in anything." Yes, you are. You're
Yeah.
passionate about many things. You're clever, in the space of many things. You have knowledge that people would love. And more importantly, it's not about what you know that others don't know. It's about what you're passionate about. And,
Right.
that passion doesn't necessarily have to be directly related to the product. It more than likely will have some relation to the business or the product. But at the end of the day, your audience may actually be connecting with you over something a little different.
Mhm.
I often use the houseplant scenario because we talk a lot about special interest groups inside of our courses, and the fact that a special interest group is a really great place when you identify who your niche or your ideal customer is. Going to special interest groups of those people when you know what they care about is a great way to learn about them, find more of those people, and interact with them. And so, using the houseplant example, if you identify that your ideal customer is someone who loves houseplants and gardening,
Mhm.
even though your product happens to be a health related product, it actually opens up the conversation, allows you to bring in conversation and influence people by first starting with something that you share as a common interest and sharing your journey in that space.
Right.
So, influence doesn't have to be about, here I am, here's my product, here's how I use my product all of the time. It can
Mhm.
sometimes be about, here's something I care about and I'm passionate about that we connect over. And
Mhm.
then, by the way, this is also another part of my life. I also am really passionate about looking after my health. But because people have connected with you and related with you over this other common interest, they're more likely to listen to you when it comes to this area too. And suddenly you've got people going, oh, I was thinking I probably need to lose some weight. That's really interesting. I'm going to listen to you because I get you. You and I like houseplants. We're the same
Yeah.
people. So I hope that
Exactly.
makes sense. But it's that,
No, it makes sense because again, it goes back to it being a relationship business,
yeah,
right? Like if you and I have a common interest, we're both in this fitness group together, and then I'm like, oh, Sam, by the way, I also have these nails, like you admire my nails once. You're already like, well, we have this one connection, we have this relationship. I'm more keen to listen to you than
Yeah,
someone else because we already are connected in that way. So yeah,
exactly.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely join new groups. I was listening to this podcast this morning that was actually saying that community marketing is going to be bigger than influencer marketing
Mhm.
in this coming year in 2023.
Yeah,
And so I was like, okay, well, what do direct sellers do best? We're best at community. And so I
absolutely.
was like, this is our year. This is the year where we get to bond over community. And even if
Yeah,
it's not, like you said, the community or the niche that your products are over, that's still okay because you're still making relationships, you're still making connections, and you can be more comfortable to have that conversation about the products
yeah.
later on just because you have that sense of community, which I think is really exciting for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited to see where community is going this year. We've seen so much shift in groups and how they're being used. There's a whole lot of features that are on their way in as well, which I know are going to really enhance the ability to be able to bring community together. So,
Yeah.
the first thing I would say in that space is just keep watching because, as you see this push towards community step into it, don't watch from the outside, be a part of it because
Yes.
it is what you guys are really great at. You know how to bring people together. You know how to be part of community. You are part of community. It's what you guys do really well. Um, but just coming back to the influencer concept just for a little second
Mhm.
here, many of our listeners are people who either have had direct selling businesses for many years and want to be better at social media, or they're people who are doing amazingly well and want some more tips, or people that are just beginning their business and feel really unsure which way to go. For any of those people, what would be, say, your top 3 tips for being a natural influencer on social media, no matter what their
Ooh.
technical skills are?
Yeah, my first tip, and this is something that I always say, is find the product that you use the most and
Mhm,
that is going to be social media friendly. So I'll even make it hard on myself. I'll use I'll use the supplement product, but this is my favorite product,
mhm,
and this is a total body recovery product. So how can I market this, or how can I case this on my social media? Well, it's total body recovery, so I know that I can say, "Oh, I'm taking my 2 capsules after my vigorous workout." Okay, fine. The next step, who can also benefit from this product? Well, I know that individuals that also work out can benefit. I know that my husband works out, he can benefit, my in-laws. It's a total body recovery product, so a lot of people can benefit from it, right? So identify the product, identify how you can market on social media, identify who would be
mhm.
interested in that product, and then kind of curate or plan out how you're going to incorporate it into your lifestyle and how you can document it, right? So
Yeah,
just saying, okay, here are these two capsules. I'm going to take it on a daily basis. And so definitely that's one of my tips is if you don't have a product that you use on a daily basis, find one, develop a relationship with that one, become passionate about this
mhm,
one, because when you're passionate about your product, it really shows,
yeah,
and it's easier to then talk about it with others.
yeah,
So that would be, I know that was more than one, but that'd be my first tip.
yeah.
My
No,
second
that's
tip,
awesome.
my second tip, which probably should have been my first tip, is don't be intimidated. I
Mm,
know that especially in post-COVID era, there's this there's a saturation, right, of all these digital marketers, all of these creators, these influencers, and it makes it really difficult for someone to stand out.
mm,
I promise you that you stand out to your followers because they're following you. They're following you for a reason. They want to know about your lifestyle. They're engaged. And like we mentioned before, it might not seem like they're interacting, but they're watching. They're
yeah,
watching. They're what we call the creepers, right? They might not be engaging, but they're watching you.
yeah,
And so don't be afraid to just showcase your life, because one of my favorite quotes is, I'd rather say, "Oh well," than "what if." I'd rather get 0 likes and at least have put myself out there and tried than to
mhm,
have never posted at all and not know the outcome.
yeah.
So, first tip is to identify the product. Second tip is to not be afraid. And the third tip is to just be educated in terms of social media. You don't have to be an expert. You do not have to be an expert, but stay on top of the trends, stay on top of, what's happening right now. I got a notification today that the CEO of Meta is saying that we don't necessarily need to put out as many videos as we used to.
Mhm.
So you don't have to prioritize reels, which I know can be really intimidating. The exciting thing about that is that we can post more carousels, more photos. And so just staying on top of the trends on social media is going to help you and benefit you get more eyes on your content if you're a
Yeah.
public account.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Do you know it's really funny you bring that up because I've noticed a real dip in Reels performance over
Reels.
the last few
Yeah.
weeks. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, and when I saw that come out today from one of these social media marketers I follow, I was like, "Oh, thank goodness," because it's about time
Yeah.
that we kind of go back to what Instagram is all about, which is photos and sharing photos,
Yeah.
and not trying to just replicate what TikTok is. So that's exciting
Yeah.
for us for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
And I just want to add one more tip to that as well, which I think you've already really touched on, but I want to, I guess, highlight it is when it comes to being an influencer, when it comes to being effective on social media, when it comes to growing your following, when it comes to relating to people, the most important thing you can ever do is be yourself.
yes,
And yet, what I see a lot of people doing is thinking, oh, I have to reword that. I have to get that just right. I have to take the right photo. I have to I look different. I need to do a flat lay. I need to make, everything look perfect. And my wording's not right. I'm gonna steal some wording from someone else and adjust that. And the thing is at the end of the day, number one, people are gonna the reason the stuff's often not performing is because you're not being you and people can smell
Mhm.
it. They just don't feel a connection. They're not resonating with you. But the moment you show up and you start sharing who you are in your story and what you're passionate about in your words, remember that people think the way they speak. So if you're using words and sentences and putting them together in a way that you wouldn't be having with people in real life, they're also not consuming it the way that they would in real life. So just
No.
be you, be yourself. That's what people are looking for. That's what they're going to relate to.
Yeah,
And that's probably, you know, 80% of the work done right there. Just have conversations like you would in real life. That's what people want. They want more of that real connection. They're hungry for it.
I know. Being authentic is so powerful. It's something that is going to be more and more popular moving forward. So we talked
Yeah.
about earlier about how the younger generation really gravitates toward being
Yeah.
authentic. Is going to be powerful when it comes to marketing on social media. So no, I'm glad you said that because people aren't going to be, photoshopping or using filters.
Oh, it drives
They
me
just
nuts.
want to see you.
It's
Yeah.
really funny when I see an Instagram feed and it's all this, perfect flat laid pictures. And I think, I see that. I see your product there and your product looks beautiful, but I don't feel like that's a product I can take. I don't feel related to that
Mhm.
product. I don't feel connected to it. But if I see it in your hands with your face, if I feel like it's real and it's, it sort of reminds me of those TV ads. Do you ever
Yeah.
notice actually, sorry, I'm going to take a different tangent here. Have you ever noticed that when you see a spider on a wall, this is a thing for me because I got a huge fear of spiders, and you think that's huge. You take a photo of it to send it to someone to say, "Oh my gosh, look at this huge spider," and they always look so tiny.
Yeah.
And then last night I did this, right? It was time to spray our house again, but there was a huge spider on the wall. And I'm petrified of spiders, but it looked really small in the photo. I was like, I have to get across how big this is. So I'm going
Yeah.
to put my hand in the picture next to the spider. This is how dumb this is.
Oh,
So people can see how big the spider is. And of course, suddenly the spider looks real. People are like, oh my
yeah.
gosh, yes, it's huge. But
Yeah.
it's a really random way to explain this. My listeners understand. We call it Sam Live. I could go off any tangent at any time and tell any weird story. But my point here being is, you put yourself into the image, you put yourself into the photo, and
Mhm.
there's perspective.
Yes, exactly.
And people can connect with that and relate to it in a way that they can't if you've got this beautiful, perfect, curated photograph of all of your products, which might be great from time to time, but people will relate to you. They relate to human
Yes.
element.
Yes, 100%. And that's the key right there to like you talked about that individual the distributor who was losing weight, and she was just showing, like, just taking you on the journey with her.
Mm.
And I think that's so powerful. And there's no question or no wonder as to why she's doing that much revenue each month, is because she's being authentic with her weight loss journey, and people are just following along because they
Yeah.
want to know how she's doing it and want to follow her journey. And I think that's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the key.
I think there's also that element though of curiosity where people are going,
Mhm.
what is she doing? Maybe one day if I
Exactly.
keep watching her, I might catch her out and figure out what
Yes.
she's doing. And she really was doing without realizing it. And I know this individual really well. I've been coaching her for a long time, and we were chatting about this, and she's been really working hard on the curiosity style
Mhm.
of posting, and it's had such a huge impact. Whereas before, she's currently with two different direct selling companies, and the other company she's been with for a lot longer, and for years she's just been sharing the product, the product, the product. Suddenly she's gone over here
Mhm.
and gone, I'm going to start this business, but I'm not going to tell anyone what it is. I'm just going to share my journey.
Right.
And
Yeah.
she's gone from this one business over here, which was completely unrelated. They're not in competition to each other, the two companies, but the product over here may be making $2,000 a month as a leader, to suddenly making $20,000 a month with the other company that she's with in just 6 months, just simply by
Oh,
sharing that
that's
journey
amazing.
and not
Yeah.
telling anyone what it was. And I really, even me, I knew what the product was, and even I was sitting there going, "Is she going to tell us today what she's doing?
Yeah. What is this? Yeah, no,
What
for
is it?"
sure.
But the
And I think
amount of
it's
people reaching out saying, "Tell me more, tell me more."
I
Mm,
know, and it's really difficult to do that effectively, I believe, because
yeah.
oftentimes our distributors are so passionate about the product. They're like, I need everyone to take this right now. Let me tell
I
you what it
know.
does.
Here's
Let
what's
me
in it. Here's how
Yeah.
much it costs. Here's the link. Yep.
Yes. And trust me, I do not fault you. I'm extremely passionate about our products as
Mm,
well. And it just takes getting people to that stage in your relationship and
yeah.
generating that curiosity in order to have those conversations.
Yeah.
But because people are so passionate, they want to scream it from the rooftops. And sometimes one of two things happens. I can Google it and I can find out that, oh, okay, what this product is. Okay, I don't want it.
Mhm.
Or I can Google it, I can find it on Amazon, and I can purchase it. And you
Yep.
don't want that to happen. And so taking the curiosity generating route, or what we call attraction marketing route, is going to be so much more beneficial. And I think your case study just proves that right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, I 100% agree with you, and it doesn't mean don't be passionate. And
Mhm.
there are different ways of doing this. I've just shared one example of someone who's taken it to the extreme, and I've seen many people do it that way. But you
Yeah.
can still share the product openly as well. And
Oh, yeah.
we've done a lot of work with our friends at Juice Plus as well here in Australia, and a lot of them, sharing simple things like their recipe for their shake today. And
Yeah.
everyone knows what they're putting into it. They're not hiding that, but then they're also not openly saying, here's the product, here's the link, here's what's in it, here's how much it costs, here's how you
Mhm.
buy it. But what they are doing is saying, here is what I'm having for breakfast today. And they're sharing, the ingredients of the smoothie that they made up this morning, or a picture of them drinking the smoothie. And, then at lunchtime, like you said earlier, the comment that, oh my gosh, I'm still like feeling full and amazing.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's just sharing that journey. It doesn't mean you hide necessarily the product, although that
Mhm.
can be a clever strategy depending on what business you're in and how that works for you. But it's simply about sharing what you do. And
Mhm.
I'm such a big believer in there has to be a congruence between and influence has to come from the person. Like you can't
Mhm.
influence if you're not using the product, if you don't believe in the product. It simply doesn't
Yeah.
work. It's no longer influence. You're just a retailer, you're just selling a product.
No.
Um, so yeah, look, I think for me, this is such a big, powerful topic because we often get
Yeah.
asked, can you come and keynote speak to our field and tell everyone how to become influencers? And it's like, right,
Yeah.
we need to start by explaining what influencer really means and
Mhm.
how you are already doing this. And that's,
Yes.
I think, the key here. You hear that word and you think, how can I do it? You're already doing it. You do
You're
it every
already
day.
doing it. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you have 20 followers, if you have 20,000 followers, you're already doing it.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, I guarantee you that the 20 follower person will convert more than the
Yeah.
20,000 follower person. I
100%.
guarantee that because it's more authentic that
Yeah.
way. Yeah. So don't get hung up on the word influencer. I
No.
would get rid of it if I could. I promise you. And I have an influencer marketing team.
Yeah.
on my team, but no, I promise you that you are already doing it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You guys
Mhm.
do it in everyday life. All you're doing
Mhm.
is you're converting that online. And if you think about what sort of conversations do I have with friends over a coffee or at a barbecue
Mhm.
or when I go out for dinner, and there are people that buy things because you've experienced it and you've shared
Yeah.
that experience. It's no different. You're just taking that online. So share your journey, be yourself. Such a big thing. Lastly, just because I know that we could chat, I think, for another hour about this and still have more to talk about. But being that your wealth of experience, Dana, in social media marketing and digital marketing, I'd love for you to share with our audience because, after all, we teach social media. That's what we do. I'd love for you to share your top three tips for social media for our audience to up their game this year when it comes to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Can you
Yeah.
share your top three tips for 2023?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, for 2023, I definitely would take into consideration what the Meta CEO just said about, videos and reels not being as important, and just post more and start utilizing interactive polls and questions on your stories, because that's how you're going to start conversations.
Mm.
So that would be my first two. The last one I would say is, and I know this sounds silly, and you're like you're going to walk away and be like, oh, that wasn't a good tip, but just have fun. Take back what social media was started for, and that was just to
Mhm.
have fun and document the life. And again, just going back to being authentic.
Yeah.
And because when you have fun with social media, and if you make fun of yourself, and if you show how you live your life, and just the different, nuances of your life, and how you're doing, and people will feel like they have this relationship with you. I still have family in New Jersey, and they still follow me on or my friends and family follow me on social media, and they know what I'm doing out here in Utah because they follow me on social media. Now, if I didn't post and if I didn't have fun and showcase stuff on my stories, they would have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so take social media as a fun tool to document your life. And again, like Sam said, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, if you don't feel comfortable, documenting your life or your lifestyle or your family on social media, that's okay too. Just start with things that you do feel comfortable with and just go from there, because I promise you that it's going to make someone feel like they have a relationship with you, even if you haven't talked to them in years. And
Yeah.
that's the power of social media, is that you're making connections, and you're really, going back to network marketing, you're marketing with your network or your followers.
Yeah.
And so just take back what social media is intended for, and that's having fun and documenting your authentic self.
I think that is such an amazing, amazing tip and such a good reminder because really, Facebook was originally created as a form of entertainment and at the end of
Mhm.
the day as a way to connect. And really that's
Yeah.
what they're looking for people to get back to is entertain and connect. And so yeah, I love that. And if you are having fun with it too, it's more enjoyable. It's not such a drag. So yeah,
Yes.
think of what is it that you love to talk about? And what do you love to post about? What do you love you're interested in?
Mhm.
It's often our dream customer, our niche, our ideal customer is also interested in similar things. So share some of
Yes.
that stuff.
And
Um,
that's like the word you just said, share.
mm,
We often have sell in our mind. I
yeah,
need to sell this. I need to sell. But what if you just shared
yeah,
instead? Just shared what you're doing. Just shared what you're taking, what you're eating, what you're doing on a daily basis, instead
yeah,
of being like, I need to hit this quota this month. Then the sales will automatically come in, because you're not so much focused on selling, more just sharing.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, that's what, Facebook and Instagram is all about, just
yeah,
sharing.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's really awesome. So I've got some fun questions for you, Dana. These are
Okay.
my favorite questions. I love hearing what people say when I throw these ones at
I
them,
know.
and this is no exception. So I want to let's start with the book for our book list. What's your favorite book for our accelerator book list?
Okay, so my favorite book, The Marketer in Me, and I bet you it's already on your list, is Building a Story Brand. Just because I always say to my distributors is that it took my husband and I 5 years to date in order to get engaged. Because we needed 5 years to build that relationship, build the trust, and then
Mhm.
he asked me to marry him. And that's the same way that you need to look at selling products on social media, is that
Yep.
you need to build the relationship first
Yes.
before you start selling to them. So
You
building
remind
a
me
story brand.
You remind me, it was actually really funny. We both had the honor of speaking at Social Media Day for the
Mhm.
Direct Selling Association of America a couple of weeks ago. That's where we met. And
Yeah.
I shared the story of dating your customer before you ask them to marry you. And a lot of our listeners have heard me talk about that story, especially if I've keynoted at any of your events. We have a lot of fun with this on stage, and Greg gets up there and we really, act it out. It's quite funny. But you then spoke and you shared the same concept. And I'm looking at Greg going, check this out. And so, of course, in the chat, everyone's going, it's all about marriage. It's all about
Mhm.
dating today. So it is such a big one, though. Dating your customers, dating people, building the relationship before you jump to engagement or marriage is
Yes.
such a huge one. And I really loved that we were both on that same wavelength. I was like, I get this chick. This.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. Because the punchline always goes, if my husband proposed to me after one day of dating, I would be like, ew, like, I don't even know you. Go away. You're
I think
weird.
that was how I explained it when I did my.
So yes, building a
Yes.
story brand. If you're, a marketer at heart, that's definitely
Yeah.
a book I would suggest. Highly
Love it.
suggest.
And
Mhm.
if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would it be and why?
So this one's really selfish, but I think I would teleport.
Oh, do
Just
you know,
because,
flying and
yeah, I'm
teleporting is actually our most common answer. Why is that
really
selfish, by
okay.
the way?
Just because I feel like I could do better. I could be better with it. Like, oh, I can, make food for anyone that is hungry. But teleporting would be easy just because my husband's from England. I'm from New Jersey.
Mm,
We have friends all over the place. So I think it'd be nice to see our family really at a like that.
I don't think that's selfish at all. I think that's
Thank
I
you.
think
You're
that's
too
a really
kind.
good superpower. Okay, so next one is, what's your favorite quote?
Oh, I actually said it earlier in the podcast. I said, my favorite quote is, I'd rather say, oh, well, than what if.
Oh,
And I
yep.
say that with everything I do in life because I truly believe that we need to try things. We're on this earth for such a short
Yeah.
period of time. And I'd much rather fail and fail forward than have never tried at all.
Yeah.
And so that's really what I credit a lot of, my career success towards, is just trying new things, asking what if, and going from there. And if it fails, oh well, at least I tried.
Yeah.
I don't have to look back when I'm 90 years old and I'm on my deathbed and I'm saying, oh, what if I tried that? So
Yeah.
I'd rather say, oh well, than what if, any day.
Yep, that's a good one. I love that. And the very last question, Dana, is, if you could go back in time and say one thing to your past self, what would that be?
Oh, I really like that one. If I could say one thing to it'd be who you are and
Mhm.
don't change for anyone. Going back to, our authenticity talk, I
Mm,
think just being who I am and not diluting my personality, and asking, developing relationships with individuals. So I'm a genuinely curious person and I'll talk to anyone. And my friends are like, come on, Dana, we have to go. Kind of a person is always who I have been. So I wouldn't change who I am for anyone, just because,
yeah.
again, we're only on this life, or we're only on this earth for a short period of time. So just be who you are.
Yeah, such a great piece of advice, and the perfect way to wrap this episode up, since that's what we've been talking about
Yeah.
today. We're going to leave you on that note, because that's probably, I feel like, the most important point made out of
Mhm.
all of this, really. So, look, Dana, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been amazing
Yeah.
chatting with you and getting to know you a little bit better. And what a huge amount of wisdom you've provided our audience with today. So, thank you again so much for your valuable time. We really appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was really fun. Yeah. Great getting to know you, Sam.
Awesome. And thank you again to our beautiful listeners for tuning in to this episode today. Don't forget, if you love this episode, please share it with others. We want to spread the message. We want to help reach more people and help impact their businesses in the direct selling industry as well. So thank you so much for tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you on the podcast again next week. That's it from us. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.